Create a generational love cycle. Birth when I was a child. After experiencing potential traumatic experiences, I realized that there was another way to living life. I knew deep down inside there was another way. And I was going to use my experiences to help me determine that way, to call out to the universe for help, for guidance and direction, to obtaining the King James Bible, to having seeds sown within me at a young age, reading that entire Bible, to having the a bookmark, I believe that was given by my mother, thinking it was just some white plain bookmark, and flipping it over and seeing the Lord's Prayer, and then learning about Jesus Christ when I was a child and observing his mannerisms and the life they portrayed on TV from the Bible, bringing that to life. And I have lived my life having faith in something more powerful than me, trying to have faith in something more powerful than me. That there wasn't some sort of order in this life. That there was somehow a power that knew me inside and out, knew my heart's desires, knew what I wanted. And even though, and actually out of my experiences, is when I was determined to live my life differently, to face my emotions, to somehow didn't know how, but to help make the world a better place, starting with me first, starting with my character, starting with learning to address my fears and my anger and frustrations and seeing the bigger picture in life. And so it is an opportunity to be a mother and to help raise a boy and a girl, opposite sex, one gender, another gender, to be a positive light in the world, to respect human life, to have values, to have morals. And so I remember when I was my family and I, we were going to church in Ohio when we lived in Ohio, and there was the idea for me to help with Bible study, and somehow then I think I had worked on it before, but it came across to really somehow see if I can teach virtues, love, kindness, compassion, and that didn't quite pan out. We ended up moving to Oregon, as you know. My husband, if I didn't mention this before, or I'm sure I have, but my husband had accepted a job in Oregon. And so I have said before that if there's anything that we want to do in the world, it must first start at home. And so something I've been doing for almost a year now with my children is going over weekly virtues. And it was a list of virtues. I was trying to find it. I had found it once. I had did this binder and all that. And I don't, I'm not sure what happened to it. I don't know if I pitched it or, or what happened. But I found this list again of virtues, and trying every week to go over virtues with my children from A to Z. It's something I found online, a list of 52 virtues, and I just really think it's so awesome to have found this, because I get to have these conversations with my children. I raised them in talking about their body, and their body is theirs, and facing their emotions and feelings, and how hitting and kicking and punching and name calling is not the way to solve issues in your life, not the way to address issues in your life. And so I remember last week, and it really kind of confirmed that, okay, I'm on the right path with this, is that my daughter was reading uh, Patience. And on here, I'll just read it. It says, patience is quiet hope and trust that things will turn out right. You wait without complaining. And when she read it, it was almost like the word just kind of woke up inside of her. Like she heard herself internally saying what she was saying, and if you've ever read something and it really didn't get to you, and then all of a sudden you read it again, it's like, it's this conviction. And so that's what she had. And in the Bible, it says, it's not the person that says something, it is the word that convicts people, that says, hey, this is something you need to work on. This is something, it's an awareness that happens. And so I could see the light bulb come on with her. And it said, you are tolerant and accepting of difficulties and mistakes. You picture, and you know how I feel about mistakes. As a child, I decided not to use the word mistakes, but to instead replace it with life lessons, because I felt like mistakes was such, I don't know, somewhat negative. I know it was somewhat negative, and I didn't like that. I liked life lessons, and that's the day that, unbeknownst to me, I became a student of life. Learning and in these life tests that we have throughout life. But it says you picture the end in the beginning and persevere to meet your goals. Patience is a commitment to the future. And, as I read that, I didn't even know what I was going to talk about, really, other than the word perseverance, but I'll get to that. When I think about patience, and I think about a lot of things that's happening today, we have theft, we have, greed, people wanting things and um, belittling others, or sabotaging others to get what they want, even in childhood. I was at a party and just seeing the kids being overly excited and frustrated and kicking and start, kicking one another, these two girls. And I think about the word patience and how, just sowing that seed in our children and letting them know that patience is a virtue. Patience can help relieve anxiety and frustration and anger. One of the principles, and I've talked about those, the principles that my mother shared with us, it was her life lessons, and I turned them into principles for life, my life. And one thing she shared with us is that whatever is for you, you will get. And that aligns with patience. That if we are patiently working toward our goal, even me, and as I say things, to you, I repeat it to myself. That is the great thing about education. That is the great thing about lifting others up, is that you end up being lifted, not because that's what you want, but because you want others to be lifted, right? And so she would say that whatever's for you, you'll get. And, it can really wipe out greed. It can really wipe out sabotage, because, I realize that, there's no need for jealousy, because we all have our individual paths. No task is greater than another. No title is greater than another. All of us are divine spirits here to carry out, um, I believe, a divine mission, you know, a process, a journey throughout life. And every one of us, from young to old, from those that live, a few minutes, hours, have a divine presence in our life, in our lives. To, even if it is for us to see the value in life, even if it is to raise children who will respect their body, to decrease their experience or avoid their experience with misuse of their body, with sexual assault, because they are confident in themselves. They know when to get away from certain scenarios and situations, or when to not even go. They listen to their intuition, that inner spirit of truth that tells them, hey, wait just a second. You've heard of so many situations that because of patience. Because I heard a story, and I think my husband is the one told me about it, where someone he normally rides with his friend to school. He would normally ride with his friend to school, and that day his father kept him and talking to him. And lo and behold, his friend got into an accident, I believe, and is no longer here today in this world, in this in earthly, I should say, in earthly form or human form. Um, but it's the patience that we have that we realize that something greater than us is at work here, that is at play here. And that to align ourselves with that spirit, to align ourselves with the truth that resides in our heart and our minds, knowing that we don't have to do anything to anybody, but just be ourselves. This week, last week, we were talking about perseverance. And as you know, perseverance is being steadfast and persistent. You're committing to your goals. And this was a learner for me because it's so easy, as you know, as a reminder, it's so easy as a parent to get so involved in so many things. I'm the learning coach, the primary learning coach for our boy and girl, third grader, fifth grader. And even that in that role, you're supposed to be with them 6 to 7 hours a day. And so I'm also doing other things, tutoring students, nursing students to pass their NCLEX exam and writing at the same time and the podcast. And even when times feel overwhelming or get tough, it is hopefully I can and my children can, through me, through their truth, be an example of perseverance. That even when time is short for breakfast and we have to get to their classes, I still want to make sure we go over these virtues because I believe they are worth it. That my children's lives, their life is worth it. Their lives are worth it. That they not only persevere in their character building, in their intellect for school, and also too in their purpose. That as parents, we have that responsibility as guides to help our children. I love Martin Luther King's quote, and I just add to, character intelligence is the primary, basically, responsibility of education. And I just throw in purpose. That all of our children, our children are here just like us for a purpose, a divine purpose. They have gifts, talents, and they'll have experiences. They are to intertwine with that to help bring out their reason for being here. That thing that you feel like this is why I'm here. And it is through perseverance that everything, no matter what happens in your life, to know that you are here. And I tell our children, you are here for a reason. You're going to do great things. And I tell them that because I want them to align with that seed of truth, with the seeds of their gifts and talents, to allow them to become who they are. And so we will, every week we discuss a topic, and I'll discuss it with you too. And that, what does it mean to persevere when you are in a job and you realize this isn't me? I helped one of my nursing students to, or one of my persons I was tutoring, one of the things that she said was, I have this fantastic job working with children, but what I really want to do is be a nurse. And she persevered and she believed in her possibilities, and she ended up passing her NCLEX exam. And the reason why I talk about this is because, again, that no matter you as an individual, as a parent, we start at home first, but we also share the messages of truth outside of our home. Because the more that we share these virtues, the more we plant them deep within ourselves. And the more we realize as a parent, as we're doing for our children, we do for ourselves. We persevere to really be who we are, that many of us are probably in jobs that do not align with who we are, our gifts and our talents, and do not give us that space that we need, that creative freedom, that creative expression. And so, the great thing about creating a generational love cycle is what you say to yourself, to your children. Whatever you say to your children, you say to yourself. Whatever you say to others, you say to yourself. And so, to me, it becomes a win-win because it is in the power of the words that we use, that we teach our children, that helps to guide our lives, to help to unveil our truths. And there have been many times when my son, who is a black belt, who wanted to give up on karate. There have been many times my daughter wanted to give up on her dancing or whatever it was she was working on, schoolwork. But it's through perseverance that I tell them, you will thank me for it later. You'll thank me for this. Because no matter what we're doing in parenting and breaking the cycle of bigotry and hatefulness and jealousy and prejudice and racism, whatever it may be, that we're persevering to make life better than what we had. My mother taught me that, to make life better than what she experienced. That's what we're passing on to our children. And it's through learning and discussing these virtues, teaching them, what does it mean? Having my children to read, what does that mean to you? Put it in perspective. How will you use that in your life? Give me an example. Talking to them, sowing those seeds, and having patience and knowing that it is not me that is at work per se. It is the word, the seed that will continue to foster and to grow as long as I continue to water it with my example and with the words and how I treat others, how I treat our children. How are you using seeds to build your legacy? What seeds are you using? Are you using seeds of hatred, of racism, of prejudice, of lies, of fear, of anger, of doubt, of resentment, of shame? Are using virtues of love, compassion, of hope, and forgiveness, of perseverance, that no matter what someone did to you or what you experience, you can still make this lifetime great, believing and using your experiences as examples of what to do and what not to do. And I wanted my children to have integrity. I wanted them to face their feelings, their emotions, because I've seen when it doesn't happen. I want them to be truthful. I want them to think of others, and I want them to respect others' bodies, their minds, and their beliefs, and their culture, and their race, and beyond. So think about it. What are you sharing with yourself, with your children? What thoughts, what words? Because it is the words that are powerful, and how we continue to water and nurture them is how they continue to grow in us, and how we can either create the generational cycle of love or continue a generational cycle of pain, of darkness, of division. I'll talk to you guys soon. Again, make this lifetime great. I'll be sharing my week's message on Fulfill Your Divine Purpose, my Facebook page. And as always, I share just, daily messages or messages throughout the week, just reminding you that you can make this lifetime great. Your life has purpose, and no experience defines you. You define yourself. It is the power of words, the power of belief, the power of thoughts that are critical to how we experience our lives, to how we move along this earthly journey, to how We build a generation based on love. I'll talk to you guys soon.